Welcome to HSBC Build and Grow, a series that focuses on managing finance for business continuity. As financials takes center stage in business continuity conversations, your story together with HSBC is proud to present this series, featuring some of the finest minds in the ecosystem to help businesses leverage the financial ingenuity, perspective, and insights from these experts to power their own journey, their own continuity. Anand, I'm very excited to be talking to you. You know, you are one of the entrepreneurs which we all look up to as reference when we talk about product tech entrepreneurship in India. You know, before we go any further, I'm sure you've done it hundreds and thousands and millions of times, but tell us about CleverTap and from your lens, from your perspective, what have you built?
Absolutely. So CleverTap is a mobile marketing platform. We help brands retain and engage their users using the right amount of, these are buzzwords, but AI, ML, not too much of it though. You don't want to sound creepy when the brands message you, but with the right level of personalization. So behind the scenes, it's deep technology, but to our brands, it appears like a simple dashboard. They can understand user behavior, they can segment users or group people by their behavior, and then reach out with them, in most cases preempt, proactively figure out what they want, etc., and send them the right relevant messaging, both when they're in the app or outside of that. So that's what we do. We work with about 8,000 brands globally. uh, and
Very
thank
good.
you. Yeah, so that's the long and the short of it.
You know, so but now I'll go one step behind and say that what you're doing, I know there are players who have done this, there are many who've done in the past, but somewhere Clever Tap's trajectory is very exciting, you know, because you've been able, and now you're just saying the number 8,000 brands. That's not easy. That just doesn't come on its own. There has to be something extremely differentiated that you've done in your journey, and I would love you to tell us what are some of those things.
When we started out, again, we've been recipient of spam. We get messages, irrelevant messages from brands. We have been consumers, right, for some popular brands, and either the messages are untimely or they don't anticipate what we want, etc. So when we started out 7 years ago, we wanted to solve this problem holistically, again from an engineer's view. We are three founders, we are all engineers. We have never been on the marketing side, but we've been on the engineering and product building side.
Yeah.
uh, and if you think about it, right, you cannot engage a user without first understanding what their motivations are. Where is a particular person, in their life cycle? Is this a new user? Is this a loyal person? Is this person who is a little skeptical about your brand, and so on and so forth, right? So 7 years ago, with a simple promise of we'll help brands retain their users better, we started out. And to achieve that, like the vision, we had to build a platform from the ground up, combining real-time analytics, so you can literally visualize like a store manager, right, like a sales guy in a physical store. You can actually see your users, right, where are they going, etc. What are they looking at? Are they interested, disinterested? You can again group people by their behavior and send them timely messaging, right, whether it's a notification, email, SMS, whatever. Basically you can personalize their experience, and using a lot of deep technology, AI, ML, all those things, right, you can achieve that. So we started with that. There were, if you think about this, right, the two kind of players, right? There are traditionally product people buy analytical solutions, right? They want to figure out user onboarding, drop offs, cohorts, funnels, all sorts of things, right? And there are marketing people in an organization who want to send notifications to people, who want to send
Mm,
exciting offers, hey, 20% off if you buy today, and things like that, right? And both these uh, departments, if you will, organizations, are siloed, right? They each have the best interest of the users in mind, but they don't connect the dots together. They don't have access to each other's data sources, and they just think, they're looking at the world with literally one eye view of the world. What CleverTap offers is this holistic view of your user, 360-degree profile, where you can look at a single source of truth, but slice and dice users according to your own view, right? So if you're a product
mm,
guy and you notice a lot of uninstalls, for example, right, you can attribute that to the campaign that ran last night, right, which was supposed to not go during D&D hours, right, and things like that, right? So
yeah.
right? So the power of a single source of data, unifying product and marketing, and these days, they're called growth. 7 years ago, we didn't have growth people. We had marketing guys, and we had whatever, right? Like, so it's become, as we've gone to the market, we have seen that our customers now understand the power of unifying these functions, and calling them growth. And that's been our journey, if you will.
I'm comparing it to earlier going to general physicians, now going to specialists. So now today companies are so specialized that they need your product, right? Because to efficiently operate, it's getting so specialized. Like even in my team, yeah. We're looking at our numbers and users very, very closely. Tell
Yeah,
me, Anand, would you be able to take us through an example of someone who used CleverTap and they saw a very phenomenal difference in the way they were conducting their business?
absolutely. So we work with the. Let me preface that with the kind of brands we work with, or the kind of verticals we work with.
Hmm.
On-demand brands, for example, urban mobility or food
Hmm.
delivery, grocery. All those kind of brands. We work with streaming apps, uh, whether they are live video, live streaming, or they're showing shows, etc. We work with e-commerce players, both D2C as well as marketplaces. Work with fintech brands. We work with a whole bunch of categories, right? Travel, OTA, all of those categories. uh, and in each of these categories, retention is very important, right? You can spend a bunch of money, you can acquire users, but to retain users, you can't spend money. No amount of money will help a
Yeah.
user. You cannot retain a user. And user attention is divided, all of those things. So I'll give an example, right? MX Player is one of our customers.
Hmm.
MX Player has a 100 million daily active users. Uh,
Wow.
and Vivek, who runs, who's their COO and runs growth, basically said that if I retain 1% of the users every day through a platform like CleverTap, that's a million users daily. Now, if I'm not able to retain them, right, the cost of acquiring a million new users every day, you can imagine the cost, right?
Yeah.
So that itself kind of shows that a platform like CleverTap helps you do that, and the platform pays for itself, right? Literally on a daily basis.
Yeah. Do, uh, do you know, how would you say, you have been part of this journey of how the mobile ecosystem in the world, in India, has evolved, and today there's so much of focus on users, right? Like earlier, bada number tha, usko pahunchna hai, and it was more about acquisition.
Yes.
Now the world has, like you're saying rightly, that it's all about retention. Whatever your data set is, it's about retaining. Anand, through you take us through that journey where how are you seeing this whole ecosystem of users, uh, mobile analytics space evolve in the last few years?
Yeah. So traditionally, it has evolved independent of each other. As I said earlier, there are analytical players, and they go deep down in analytics, right? There are specialist products that help you analyze, and they are the favorite tools of product people in an organization, right? In a B2C brand. And then there are marketing automation tools, and we get clubbed unfairly into marketing automation. Hey, these people can help you send messages, emails, and all those things. But that's the easy part, right?
What do you call yourself?
We are a mobile engagement platform.
Mobile engagement.
Yeah.
Huh.
And the space is mobile engagement automation, right? Because if you have, if you have any serious amount of users, you're not going to sit and create a message or upload a list from some database, right? It has to be
Yeah.
automatic, and it has to be personalized. So that's where the automation comes in. So these spaces evolved independently, and I think somewhere along the last in the 7 years, we've seen the brands shift from their focus, and the priorities have shifted from user acquisition to retention. And I'll tell you why. A lot of them realize that they have dollars to spend, right? They can run ads, they can acquire users, but in a lot of cases, they were acquiring the same user again and again. They've run out of users to acquire, right? So they literally, the guy collects the discount coupon and goes back into the queue and shows up again for the next discount coupon, right? Uh, and while working with them, again, uh, if you break this up, uh, the confusion was because there are multiple data sources, right? There are silos of data. The teams did not talk to each other, and each thought that they were doing, in the best interest of the user, right? But they were kind of stepping on each other's toes. So a platform like CleverTap, and this is literally an engineer's thesis, right? This is not coming from marketing. Engineer's thesis was that, hey, what if you could kind of put it all together? You can have engagement, analytics, personalization, A/B testing, the whole experimentation framework, and marketing automation all in the same platform. Why
Hmm.
would you not do that, right?
Hmm.
And it sounded like a very vague idea, right? Especially when we were pitching to VCs, and they were like, no, no, hang on, this is all, they're all 7 or 8 different companies, right, that do this, 7 or 8 different categories, right? And we said, well, yes, they are, but no one really likes to buy 7, 8 products and then stitch them together. We were the engineers that stitched them together in our previous lives, and it's not fun. There is no motivation for these products to work with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, two different kind of speakers, like Arabic and Japanese guy trying to talk to each other, right, with no
Yeah. Yeah.
motivation to communicate.
Yeah.
And it took us like 3 years, the first 3 years of our life, we building this platform out holistically. It's not an advice for any startup out there listening to this, because don't spend 3 years building an MVP of your product. You'll most likely fail. For us, it was, a very strong conviction. It was backed by our VC friends, and as well as customers that we were piloting, the kind of version 1 of the product, if you will.
Huh.
Actually 0.1, right? It was not even fully made. But the conviction that, you need a holistic solution, and you literally need to invent this category. And behind, say, CleverTap, the product, there is, the CleverTap real-time engine that powers that. So it took us that much time to build it. And, companies don't do this because it's easier to go talk to a product guy and say, hey, you want some more analytics, I can run some machine learning on it and all that. Or if you go to the marketing automation, the marketing guy, and say, hey, I'll send you WhatsApp, right? Like, you want
Yeah.
to talk to your users on WhatsApp. And it's an easier sell. Ours is a much, much harder sell, right? Like, either of the product or marketing guys, we have to say, abandon your tools and use CleverTap. And either of them vetoes it, says, no, I've got a specialist product. We don't have a sale. So it's harder in that sense. But I think
No,
over,
but I think, Anand, what you're saying for a business guy, like uh, product marketing, but someone, and I'm just saying that for the person who has the onus of building profitability or growth in the company, they should clearly see the solution, right? Because it's stuck to me. Marketing or sales का agenda होगा बेचो बेचो बेचो.
right.
Product का agenda होगा retain करो. And you're solving across the spectrum in a unified way. I think for any guy with growth mindset, business mindset, will really see value, right, in what you built.
Yeah, and the last 2, 3 years, we have seen all sorts of titles come to us, like, so VP of marketing, VP of product, VP of growth, obviously, right? Chief digital officer. So the title earlier, this is classic startup story, right? Like, hey, identify the ideal customer profile, figure out the user persona that you're going to sell to, and then, hey, create the, what does that person want and all that. And we started selling to marketing, but, with the analytics bundled into the product and being a very core part of CleverTap, because without knowing, you cannot engage the user, right, or personalize their journey. We had to go sell to product as well. But last 2, 3 years, as we have gone across the globe, we have seen that no matter what title you have, in everyone's mind, people want to now grow through retention. So they want to
Yeah.
say, hey, I've got 100 million downloads on the App Store. I've done phenomenal job. Kudos. I've spent a lot of ad dollars on acquiring users. But my numbers, my monthly active users don't match up that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. But phenomenal, because, like, uh, I think any business person will be such a fan, because, yeah, like, and the good thing is that the VC industry is also now talking about retention, right? Earlier it was
Yes.
Mao kya hai, Dow kya hai, but अब retention kya hai.
It changed ho gaya
Yeah.
na with COVID. Thoda sa, as the purse strings tighten, I think, as companies become more conscious about conserving their cash, retention comes to the fore. And I think we saw this happen even pre-COVID, right? A lot of the sensible brands out there, they started
Yeah.
talking about retention, and it kind of validated. Like, it took us 6 years, 7 years to kind of validate that theory, right? That, hey, it has to be like this. Come on, it's like, we are all in the cloud these days, right? No one buys a server anymore. No one's
Yeah.
making a trip to the data center. So that was a thesis, like, hey, why do I have to, buy a server when it can be somewhere I don't care about, right? Someone else's problem to.
Yeah.
Similarly, we had a thesis around this, right? And it took its own sweet time, but I think it's validated now. Validated by our customers, by prospects, because they come to us like saying, hey, we heard that you guys do a good job with retention, and we want to understand this. And also, in the, the VCs have gone to their portfolios and says, hey guys, you can't spend on acquisition anymore.
Yeah. But see, I would say then that means you and your co-founders, your team, had the foresight and you saw what is coming, and then you built on that. Anand, for you in your journey, and I follow you on Twitter and I see all that you post. And uh, I want to understand, what if you had to say, hey, this is one thing I have valued a lot in my own journey with CleverTap. What would that be?
I think it's listening to customers, and if you don't have customers, listening to prospects, right? Listening to your target customer profile, and having a product first mindset. So we are product first. We did not build CleverTap to be the cheaper alternative or something, or to build in India and sell to the West. I think that ship sailed 15 years ago, right? Like it's not okay. Up, you're going to have a price arbitrage or some other, some other, like an arbitrage model, right? The arbitrage is the value actually. Can you build a better product, and how do you build a better product? Like, again, coming from an engineering background, if you will, right? We had zero dogma about the subject. We had no idea. We just said that, hey, the messaging can be a lot more interesting, the personalization can be a lot more interesting. When I go to an e-commerce site, if they know that I've only shopped for electronics, why are they showing me the rest of the products, right? Why are they showing me pressure cookers and
Mm,
diapers and things like that, right? Why wouldn't they personalize my experience? If I've only watched English movies, why would the movie ticketing site show me some other language movies, right? And things like that.
yeah.
And like the whole journey, right? uh, and since we did not know anything, we started with a zero hypothesis, and we said, let's learn about the problem before we try to solve it. And that's what, that's us viewers, that's what we've done. We learned quite a lot more, and we've built it into the product. So we did not have a dogma around the roadmap. This is my vision. I mean, I tell my employees, hey, we are not Elon Musk or we are not Steve Jobs. I have no idea what the world wants, but I will listen and I will learn. Uh,
Mm,
and I think that's very, very crucial, right? A lot of times companies get cocky. They think they know what the
yeah.
world needs,
Yeah.
and
Especially when you start doing well, right?
exactly,
Then even more. Yeah.
correct, because
But
then you have your own ideas and notions about what the world wants, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
world does not listen to you, man. The world does what they want to do, right? And you have to listen to them and adapt your product and your roadmap and everything else, your solution to that.
So, Anand, what I'm picking up from you is that you had always had an unbiased, open ears all through the journey, and you listened to your customers and kept taking feedback. So I think that's something that you've done consistently.
Yes. So two kinds of feedback, right? One is their articulated needs. One, they will tell you like, hey, this feature, or, and the other thing is the unarticulated need. So if
Hmm.
you observe them, in their natural habitat, if you go to their office and you say, hey, so how do you run this campaign? Or, how do you analyze this behavior, etc. They will tell you like, hey, there's an Excel sheet involved somewhere, right? Or they have to download it from one, that's an unarticulated need. They did not think that you would be able to solve it for them. And, those are the most interesting things. Articulated needs are very simple. They're right. The writing is right on the wall, right? You can see that, okay, this feature can be enhanced, the version 2 of this
Hmm.
feature. It's easy, right? It's there. It's like, when you're probably editing, right? Like an article, right? You can edit easier, but it's much harder to write, because you just don't know how to begin. uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so the unarticulated needs, those are the interesting ones. And I've done a fair bit of traveling in the last 2.5 years. uh, I've been out on a, I mean, literally I spent less than 100 days in India, uh, uh, in like 12 months, right? Pre-COVID, of course. uh, and the only objective was to go figure out what the world wants, right? Like how are new geographies, what do they want, how are they trying, again, not to sell
Hmm.
CleverTap, to understand, because every place has a little bit of nuance, right? They do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And we get phenomenal insights from that.
Yeah. Basically, like we tell in stories, when someone is telling the story, something that they tell and something that they don't tell.
Yes.
And and story is of what you tell and what you don't tell. So that's what you're saying in the product that you built.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some simple things, I'll give an example. Very simple thing, right? If had we been in the US, right? I mean, we've all lived, worked in the US. If you had started in the Bay Area, we would have never known about the Chinese OEMs suppressing push notifications, right? or phones offloading your app because you've not used it in the last 15 days, or spotty Wi-Fi networks, or spotty 2G, 3G, 4G, all thrown into the mix. You learned that by being in India. You learned that by going to South America, Latin America, emerging markets like Southeast Asia. Is that's when you realize, oh, if in the US, internet is everywhere, right? But if you go to these markets, it's like, okay,
Mm.
there are people who turn off their data plan. I know my uncles do that in Lucknow. Like, they turn off the data plan and they're not using it anymore. So I would say, why would you do that? But that's what they do, right? They think it's like you turn off the electricity, right? The fan and light when you don't need it, right? So they don't think it's an always on thing, right? They turn it on when they want to use it. And that's an observation that you bring back to your team and you say, okay, well, someone has turned off their data plan. Now what, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Very powerful. Yeah. Uh, tell me about the team that you've built, because again, I'm assuming that core team is here in India, or now are you in other places also?
We
Tell me about
actually
the
have,
team.
yeah, we've always been distributed. Like, so, we started in 2013,
Hmm.
and 2014, once we got, seed capital from Axel, we sent Sunil back to the US. So he was, from the US. He had come to India to kind of give his kids a flavor of India for 3-4 years. That's where we met. And we sent Sunil right back. So, from 2014 onwards, we've been a distributed company, very comfortable with Skype in those days, and now Zoom calls. So that's that. So Sunil is there. Our CPO Vishal is based out of Seattle. Uh, uh, Sunil is in Mountain View, so he's in the Bay Area. Our CRO is based out of London, uh, and Suresh and I, we are based out of India, in Mumbai. Uh, and we've just augmented our team. We have hired our chief human resource officer, CHRO, who's also based out of Mumbai. So, and marketing, of course, is also Mumbai. 3-4 years ago, Mitra wanted to move back from the US, and she sent me an email saying that, hey, next year I'm moving back. And the story goes that, hey, I said, we may not be around next year, so why don't you email me closer to the date? A startup, right? So you're always a little paranoid.
Yeah.
And she emailed me like in October, and in December we had her, kind of move back to India and then join us full time. So that was, so that's, we've learned to live with a distributed team. We have 6 locations where we are present. North America, South America, based out of Colombia. Uh,
Wow.
we have the Middle East, based out of UAE, Dubai. We have Europe, which is in Amsterdam for us, and Southeast Asia, which is a couple of locations, actually Jakarta and Singapore and Vietnam also. And then there is India, which is Mumbai, uh,
Yeah.
for us.
Wow.
So more than 6, yeah, well, 6 geographies, if you will, but there are a few cities here and there that we are part of.
We have to talk right now. We are all experiencing COVID like never before. Like, yeah. Is now that you talked about distributed team, Anand, from you, I want to understand, how do you make a successful team, and how do you work most efficiently when you have a distributed team?
Yeah, it's not the easiest of things, because distributed in one city or in one time zone is very different from distributed in across multiple
Huh,
time zones, right? Because
huh.
it might be 3 a.m. in the US, right? When I get a bright idea at 3:30 here, I can talk to Sunil, and I have to wait, right? So I think one of the core foundations is again from engineering, where you become an asynchronous company. That
Hmm,
means you don't expect the other person to be live in front of you on a whiteboard. You learn to articulate ideas through written form of communication, right? You write a note. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but you write down your thoughts. Instead
hmm.
of, hey, let's jump on a let's just get into a
Huh,
room, do the whiteboarding session. Now
huh,
there are times for that also, where you don't have the idea solidified in your head, and you're more of a wanderer, if you will, where you're trying to get to the idea, or a little skeleton of the idea. But for us, thankfully, engineering for us is kind of co-located between Los Angeles and Mumbai. Uh,
huh.
so, I mean, the LA team is up until 2 a.m. and then the Mumbai team also is up until their 2 a.m. Right? So we have a little bit of an overlap. It's not the most healthy thing, but there are days then they do that, when they have to, at the beginning of the quarter, when they have to finalize items in the roadmap, and then they get back to their routine. Uh, for the sales teams have to be distributed, so that's the easy part, right? Customer success for us is localized between North and South America and India. So they are kind of in the time zone, and of course Southeast Asia. So they're in the time zone. Uh, I think the broader point being that you gotta you gotta learn to be asynchronous, write
Yeah.
down, and collaborate through not face to face,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I've learned that in the early days, it's you don't write down everything, right? You don't have town halls, the 10 people company, you don't have a town hall, or you don't have a leave policy, or those kind of things, right? What is my vision statement? That comes much later, right? When you're 25, 30, 50 employees. And if you're distributed on day one, it's a harder challenge than if you were together on day one, right? If you so we
Hmm.
started in Mumbai. Thankfully, we spent a year and a half, before we shipped Sunil back to the US. Uh, so there was a little bit of a context, and now
Huh.
it's easy, right? Now everyone kind of knows what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
again, documenting is important. And as Indians, I don't know if you've seen this across the world, but हमें document नहीं होता,
नहीं नहीं
right?
नहीं करते हम लोग कोड में भी नहीं करते और वैसे भी नहीं करते we hate writing things up, right? We'd rather
Yeah,
WhatsApp, and
yeah,
documentation also is spread across WhatsApp these days. Most of the conversations are on WhatsApp, and you lose context, right? Like I can't hit snooze on WhatsApp, right? I can't file it for. I'm a to the best of my efforts, like I try to organize email and all that, right? I can't do that with WhatsApp. I cannot do that with Slack. I cannot do that with people send me LinkedIn messages. So it's a bit of a chaos in that sense, right?
you should find a solution for that. Asynchronous message को कैसे document किया जाए? Yeah, because I can't do. I don't know how, but you're doing it successfully. Your company is doing it successfully.
We are, we have had our fair share of challenges because sometimes you have to react with urgency, and
Hmm.
you then decide to, you may not always, like they say, right? You don't always have the perfect information to make a decision.
Hmm.
So with whatever you've got, and as a leader, you have to be right most of the times, right? Not all the time, because no one's right all the time.
Yeah.
So you use those two things and you say, okay, I'm going to decide something, let's do it. And when the rest of the world wakes up, let's loop them into the decision. If we have gone too
Huh.
far into it, we'll have to live with it. If we can backtrack, we'll backtrack, and we'll find, with consensus, we'll take a different path.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we'll come to the exciting topic, which I'm sure many people will want to hear, is about funding. You've raised some good rounds of funding from very marquee investors. Tell us, because I'm assuming आज ये story बहुत powerful लग रहा है,
Right.
but when you would have gone, तो थोड़ा mumbo jumbo लगा होगा शुरू में. How did you manage to get the best of investors all along?
Yeah, it still is a mumbo jumbo, right? It's still as an entrepreneur, you can never be comfortable, and you are an entrepreneur, so I'm sure you know this also, right? I can't preach to you, but there's always this little queasy feeling in your stomach, like hey, things might go south, and things like that, right? You discover newer competitors, a better way of doing it, your customers go churn, all of that stuff, the usual,
Yeah.
the usual stuff that happens in running a business. We've been lucky in that sense that I'll tell you of the journey of how we got our investors too, right? Uh, so early on, so it was a kind of luck or coincidence or whatever you want to call it, right? Where Ashish of Book My Show,
Huh.
Ashish Hindrajani, he
Huh.
kind
Huh.
of he was he we were chatting, like he's a good friend before Clevertap also, right? So he was chatting about some personalization and how the same newsletter goes to every single user of his, whether they are Bhojpuri movie guys or the Oscar winning movies and whatnot, right? And he said, "Yaar, kuch to ho sakta na iska, yaar. Yeah, how come everyone receives the same bloody email, yaar? And internally I've kicked off a project." And I said, "Ashish, hang on, yaar. We're building something. I'm not sure whether email is something that floats my boat, but if something on personalization, individualization, and I'd love to come and have a chat with you." So it started there. And we had the idea, we were building on it for 6-7 months, but we didn't have a customer, right? And we were always kind of a little secret and stealth about this, right? We're like, "Oh, kisi ko nahi batayenge," something, because we had we didn't know, right? We were not from the market. People would have said, "Oh, come on, this is already solved, right? You're trying to reinvent the wheel." um,
Yeah.
and we didn't want to be biased by that. It's not about whether we'd be called out,
Yeah.
hey, yaar, to ho gaya, right? But we didn't want to be biased by someone saying,
Yeah.
"No, no, no," so it started there. Ashish loved our product. He introduced us to Axel because Prashant was on his board, and Prashant from Axel, right? So he said, "Hey, you got to take a look at these guys. They're onto something." Then we had a meeting with Prashant and Shekhar, and it literally was a whiteboarding session. Now Shekhar is an intense guy, right? He can get very deep into the tech weeds, right? It was good for us because we didn't start with an Excel sheet, right? We didn't start with some market hypothesis, right? We actually wanted to solve it from an engineer's perspective. So We did have a nice whiteboarding session. Why does the world need a real-time database now, and why are
When
you
was that?
building it?
Which year? Which year was this?
2014,
Oh, so you
2014,
started in 13 and
13,
then you
right?
and met them in 14,
September में हमने ना 3-4 महीने में we had Ashish. It was coincidence, a very happy coincidence. We had him try out the product. Like we said, boss Ashish, don't bet your life on this. It's a startup. We may not be around again, or the product may not work. So put it on a very safe part of your website where no one goes. But thought about data, we'll keep coming. And it did that. But the product was shaping, and every day there will be a new release. And he'd see the dashboard. More and more people in Book My Show started using CleverTap. We were called VizRocket back then, but the adoption grew, more features happened, and then he sent the email to
Prashant.
Prashant. So we had a very nice session. Again, you get to VC and you're describing not a slide, not like TAM and all those things, right? You're starting with, why does the world need a real-time database, and why do we have to build it from scratch? There are enough solutions out there, very successful companies out there, that have not invented a database. But I think they liked it. I think they saw the sincerity. They thought that, we could battle it out. We are kind of battle hardened guys. We're not like you burnout or kids, from right out of college trying to build a startup, etc. Right? So we got Axel to come in, and then again, we had not done an MVP still. Like it was still work in progress. We're still building out the product and going to everyone. No pricing. Okay, so this was completely free. Hey, try it, but very selectively. And then Sequoia came in inbound, and they wanted to take a look. And we were again very, very lucky, I would say, to get
Which year?
2015.
Or 14 was Axel, 15 was Sequoia.
Yeah. So we were very lucky that they put, Sequoia led the round with like a $8 million Series A round with on a zero revenue SaaS company.
Wow.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think again, we were able to convince them on the thesis, right? Okay, hey, this is how the world is going to look like.
Yeah.
Not so much about retention, but why everything needs to come together, right? It cannot be distributed. It cannot, because data silos, the usual stuff, right?
Yeah.
And user journey is a continuum, right, across multiple functions. So to acquire a user, marketing gets involved, but to onboard a user, once the user is downloaded your app or visited your website, that's where product takes over.
Yeah.
And once once I have signed in or signed up, right, in your this thing, product goes away, then marketing kicks in, right? Because let's show relevant offers pop up, hey, did you look at this, blah blah blah, right? Cross sell, upsell. So it's a continuum, right? It goes across multiple functions. And how the hell the world is doing it in silos, right? It was beyond our understanding. So that's when they came in. And then a couple years ago, right? 18, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Oh, 19 actually, yes. Where Tiger came in, and again, thankfully we got them inbound. And they've gone away for a while. I could say that, I guess, but they kind of came in with the SaaS focus, and the conversation was very quick. They had done an outside-in full research, so they knew our customer list. I had no idea, because most of our customers are very chatty with us, and they tell us, "Hey, uska phone aaya," they were fishing around. If some investor calls them. So, and I think we also had a very good momentum. We were growing, about 2.5 to 3x year over year for the last 3 years.
Wow.
Pre-COVID, getting global brands, 5 Fortune 500 brands using us. Actually, Fortune 100.
I'm assuming you are profitable.
We are not profitable. No, we are not. No, it's a level.
Why?
Yeah, because we all the 6 offices. We are hiring. We were, investing in marketing. The usual growth story, right? We can be if we want to be, but profitability now sounds very good and awesome. But I think we are very well capitalized to get to that stage of profitability. But right now, we're still focused on growth. There are so many new opportunities that have emerged, right? There are, I'll give you a stat. Of the of the top 500 apps in the world, only 20% of them use some sort of a engagement or a retention solution. Okay. And the whole engagement space is growing at about a 50% compounded annual growth rate. So these are phenomenal trends, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of white space available.
Yeah. Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is that in your space, any day you want, you can be profitable. But what you're going after is a global market, right?
Yes.
Like domination.
I don't know whether it's domination or not, but we want to definitely make sure that CleverTap is there everywhere. Uh, and we've built a good enough product for that, right? Like, and that's
Yeah.
again something that's evolving and continuous for us. We, there are newer things, right? As you go deeper into the domain, as we did not build for a specific vertical, right?
Yeah.
We built a very broad solution.
Yeah.
And the deeper you go, the more nuances you understand, right? Oh, my
Yeah.
customers, like, the easy part, the low hanging fruit is done, but they struggle with these kind of things, right? And you want to now solve those harder problems for them,
Yeah.
right? And we've gone super super deep now, and the ability, for example, to run your data science models in real time is something
Hmm.
that probably a handful of companies in the world have it. Not
Hmm.
even in our space, right? Like probably Facebook, Google, those companies have it, right? That
Hmm.
you can do a churn prediction by clicking a button on the dashboard and say, okay, well, how many users are going to churn by tomorrow, or how many of them are
Hmm.
going to transact, and so on and so forth, right? So that's we are going there. Like, it's still very early, I would say, for us. It's still evolving story. uh, uh, and there's a whole bunch of market that we can go and get customers from.
Anand, listening to you, I feel that you are enjoying your journey. But tell me, लग रहा है दिल से बना रहे हैं और enjoy कर रहे हैं और ऐसा नहीं है कि I'm assuming that, and I can make out that it's not a smooth journey, but you're in the groove.
Yeah.
Uh, but tell me something, like as an entrepreneur, what are some of the things that you don't enjoy?
What do I don't enjoy? I when so That's a good one, actually. uh, and So there are things that we don't
You
enjoy.
can say you can
No,
say I
no.
enjoy everything.
No, I do not.
हाँ, हाँ,
I do not, right? And it depends on your personality also, right?
हाँ.
I'm a creative guy. I'm not a numbers guy. So someone has to, the finance guy has sends me an Excel sheet full of numbers or some cash flow projection. I actually have to struggle very, very hard to read that, right? Or some of the obvious things. So within the company, right, there are some obvious low-hanging things, right, that come very naturally to me, but the rest of the team sometimes struggles with it, right? Something on the creative side, or maybe let's say there's a feature launch, and the engineering launches the feature, but marketing did not announce it to the world. And I'm like, come on, you could do it, right? So it's
Yeah.
obvious, right? But sometimes, and most of the times we do a very good job, marketing shines. It's one or two misses, maybe once a year or something, but that upsets me, right? uh, the bar is very, very high, right? And I think so that's that, I guess. Otherwise, it's a fun journey. We have very good investors, we have very good leaders. I think a lot of the internal functions like marketing, sales, the product building part, customer success, we have been complimented our customer success. I go meet customers, I meet prospective businesses, not necessarily prospects, just to hear out. And I get some very good feedback from the world
Hmm.
about the product.
Yeah, no, you have 8,000 brands working for you. So I'm sure that's like, sorry, but that's given, no? That people must be loving what you built. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I think I've asked you all the questions. Just now from your lens, uh, Anand, just quickly, if you can give us one or two, not tips or advice, but just an input for all the people who would be building product startups. And I think right now is the time because it's a slowdown, but also I'm sure there are so many people who would be thinking, what would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I think the one piece of advice is that don't be in a rush to grow up.
Hmm.
Take your time, get it right. Uh, every successful story that I have heard of is at least 10 years in the making, right?
Yeah,
Everyone says, oh wow, Zoom, like, no one knows when they started. Excuse me.
yeah,
Or these kind of things, right? So it takes time, and things that you will be able to do when you are very young, small, 5 7 people, 10 people startup, you will not be able to do when you're a 300 people company, right?
yeah,
5 people decide to take the day off, it's a day off, right, in the company, right? Or they decide to
yeah,
go to a restaurant to eat or drink, they can do that. With the 300 people company, the admin guys have to get involved, right? That's a big logistical nightmare to pull it off. So enjoy that time, I would say, like, and build, listen to your customers, build something truly that they cannot do without, right? So I will not use the vitamin painkiller analogy here, but something that your customers swear by, right? And it's
yeah,
better to have a few very, very happy customers than to have a, like a whole bunch of, not so happy customers. Because
Yeah.
these things compound when you grow up, right? So it's better to get the foundations right.
Yeah.
And it's a marathon. It's a marathon. Don't be in it for a short term. Don't build to flip. Don't build to, be on the cover of some magazine or whatever, like, article written about you, like, take your time.
Yeah. Time. Yeah. Don't rush it. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't rush it. And we took, like, we did 3 years for MVP. Now, we took our time, I would say. And then, once you've got it, it's easier, right? Then you can press the pedal. But before that, if you press the pedal, you've got a rocket with no direction, right? It can go either ways. So get
But
the aim.
Anand, that time when you were saying that 3 years for MVP, उस समय frustration लग रहा है between you guys. Did you feel frustrated sometimes that 3 साल लग रहा है, या it's a
No, no,
long
no.
process? No.
No, 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 not at
Hmm.
all. In fact, we were having a very good time, right? Because, yeah, we would go listen, so we had customers, quote unquote
Hmm.
customers, because they were not paying us, right?
हाँ.
But they would, we would see the product adoption grow. So although it
Hmm.
was an incomplete product, right? See, my product is very broad, right? It bundles analytics and all bunch of things, right? In the product, right? While we are still building a database, which is the core technology. So it's all kind of a concentric circle, if you will, right? Like where you
Hmm.
build the tracking part, you build the segmentation part, you build engagement part, and it all has to come
Yeah.
together. Uh, it was fun to see, a lot of early adopters actually, double down on it. As in, पहले एक बंदा log in करता था every Thursday, right, from Book My Show, just to see how many tickets have been sold and all that, right? Then we saw the second guy, third guy, then everyone's logging in for like 12 hours straight, right, from
Hmm.
morning till evening. And then there are 20 people. Then one guy, one time we walk into their office and we can see 20 monitors with the dashboard there. So that's not frustration. Like, it's like, okay, well, we'll monetize, we'll decide what the pricing is. That's like, let's park it for now. Right now, we're having too much fun building the product out,
Ah. Hmm. So
right?
you would have started building it around 2011?
No, 13. So 13, 14, 15, and
अच्छा,
16
हाँ,
is
हाँ.
16 is when we got our first paying customer. The first
हाँ.
check was May of 2016. Uh,
Wow. What an incredible story. That comes across, right? The way Clever Tap, what we follow from outside, and in you, that comes across, that there is an element of good, purposeful fun, right, while doing it. Yeah.
that is, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think life is
Yeah.
too short to not have fun. Like, if you're not having fun, quit that place, do something else, right? I mean, I've always believed in that. And just enjoy whatever you're doing, right? Or find something else that you enjoy. It's, you know I mean, there's enough suffering in the world, like, don't add to it. Because, क्या है, आपको मजा नहीं, you don't enjoy your work, and then, you will invariably piss off other co-workers or other people. You'll come back a grumpy guy back home.
Yeah.
Not fun. you know
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
It's like, there are enough people in the world. Yeah, go do something else.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. This has, yeah. Thank you. Last, we are talking money matters. What has money meant to you?
Oh, money is meant aspiration.
Personally?
Yeah, personally, it's meant aspiration for me. You probably know this. I come from a very humble background.
Yes.
Growing up, we would stay in a one-bedroom rented apartment in a little ghetto neighborhood in Ahmedabad. So money always was the solution to everything for me. Not being academically bright, there are stories of people, like, who rags to riches or who came from humble backgrounds, but they were very sharp. Like, they went to IIT or they, got scholarships. I was a Dhakkan student, man. I could not, like, say, man, कुछ नहीं कर- I was a hopeless case. Like, probably my family gave up on me. Like, ये तो कुछ, you know. But I think I followed something that was a passion. I could not get a degree in engineering or any of that thing, right? But I loved computers. I started with assembling computers and then
Wow.
writing code, and then, all the way now. So I think money was always, it's. I mean, thankfully we are well off now. Compared to where we were, and money is important. But what I've learned also, that is also a marathon. There are no. I've invested, in the when I was a kid. Like, I was very gullible. I still am, maybe. But वो get quick rich scheme होती है ना यार, कि वो once you ये कर दिया ना, बस हो जाएगा यार. I'll tell you, 1996, I started a company. We are two people, and both of us are managing directors of the company. There's no other staff. तो सुबह झाड़ू कटके से लेकर सब कुछ हम ही करते थे यार. But the title was like, अरे boss, this guy तो managing director ना, वो सुबह लूना पे आ रहा है अपने ऑफिस पे यार. So you realize, as a kid, if you've done some stupidity, ना, you realize यार कि ठीक है यार, it'll take a long time. even investments, right? Like you invest something, you don't expect next year kuch ho jayega, right? It's all right, just let it go. uh,
Yeah.
don't be
Yeah.
anxious about it. But if you
Yeah.
put your heart into doing good things, something good will happen in the end.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thanks. So I so love this conversation. Thank you so much, Anand.